Okay, well, I was tagged in a video from Ozzie Arcane to answer various questions about, well, my video game history. So I figured why the F not? This is going to be mostly unscripted. I have some notes, but for the most part I'm going to be just kind of going off of just whatever comes to mind, probably edit it down. In the background, there is footage on a Pixelmon server that I've been playing on. If you want to join, there's the URL of the server. We've been looking for people, and I'm going to be a gym leader there, so I am working on building my gym. But the first question is, what is your favorite video game of all time? That is not an easy question for a gamer to answer. I've always said anybody who's a true gamer will have a really, really hard time answering this. If you can easily answer it, either you've put a lot of thought into it, or you don't do much gaming. Because there are so many great games out there, it's really, really hard to decide on just one that you decided, this is my favorite of all time. I mean, who could possibly really answer this question? Whenever I do it, it always feels like I'm committing myself. It's like, if I was ever stranded on a desert island, this is the only game I'd be allowed to play. And it really kind of fluctuates based on my mood. Sometimes I'm in the mood for a first-person shooter. Sometimes I'm in the mood for puzzle games. Sometimes I'm in the mood for an RPG. Sometimes I just want to relax with Minecraft, like you're seeing right now. But, I mean, there's just so many possible answers for this. And of course, even beyond that, any game that you do pick, eventually you're going to get tired of it. It's just impossible to come up with a good answer for this. But I guess I have to. I guess that's the point of the question here, right? So, favorite video game of all time. I guess I'm gonna have to say Tetris. It's a weird answer, but it really is a game that has transcended genre and culture and background. It's a game that anybody can play, and it always keeps adapting to your skill level. There's stuff like the Tetris Grandmaster that is designed to be absolute top high level play. There's only like 6 people in the world who've achieved the highest level of playing that game, and only one of them is American, and that only happened like a couple days ago, which is amazing. These people are spectacular at this game. But even if you're not as good as Tetris, there's people that play Tetris all the time. It's been ported to every system out there. Like, everything runs Tetris. Graphing calculators, watches, cell phones. Early cell phones that didn't even have internet had Tetris or Snake on it. And even that, there's so many genres, so many different versions of Tetris that I like. I like the original Tetris. I like the Tetris Party on the Wii. I like Tetris DS. Tetris DS is probably one of my favorite versions ever. Tetris Blast, I've actually been playing that a lot recently. Like, when I don't want to take my phone into the bathroom, I'll take my GBASP and Tetris Blast, because I play it in different ways. They give you different ways of playing it beyond just making lines and clearing stuff. So, yeah, I guess I would say my favorite video game of all time is Tetris. But, of course, that's not saying that if I could only ever play one game in the future ever, I would choose Tetris. I would probably choose something else that offers a bit more variety, something like Minecraft that I could mod or something. I'm kind of backpedaling here, but you know what I'm saying. I don't want to commit myself to just saying I would only, if given a choice, I would only ever play this game. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I think Tetris is just a spectacular game, and of course that's not to discredit a lot of my other favorite games of all time, like Kirby Superstar, Final Fantasy IV, Bionic Commando, which is such a great game. But again, that's what makes this question so hard to answer. I have to add all these caveats after everything. But so let's move on to the next one. What is your favorite video game genre? Again, this is such a hard question to answer. I mean, you've seen my top 10 videos. You see the eclectic variety of video games I play. I don't want to commit myself to just one type of video game genre. I mean, if you asked me 10, 15 years ago, I would have straight up just said RPGs, because I didn't have much money then. I still don't have much money now, but with Steam and stuff, that's not as much of an issue. But I always got RPGs because I felt they gave you the most value for your money. Of course, there's like fighting games and stuff that you can beat in about 20 minutes, and there's added replay value to that. But an RPG, that's like a 20 to 30 hour investment in the early days. It's even bigger now with stuff like Fallout and the Elder Scrolls Online and Dragon Age Online. There's like 100 hours of effort into those games. And that's just for a standard retail price of the regular games. Then, of course, with Steam, you get it so much cheaper. So I always felt RPGs gave you the most value for your money, where you would just get so much out of them. But in recent years, I have really been getting into shooters. Again, stuff like Fallout or Borderlands and stuff like that. Or even something as simple as Hexen, Heretic, Doom, Duke Nukem. I've recently been getting into Shadow Warrior, which is an old DOS game based on the Doom style maps that are just like fake 3D. But so I guess if I could combine the two, I'd say my favorite genre would be something like RPG shooters, where you have the first person shooter aspect, but you also have the exploration and the open world aspects and puzzle, and not puzzle solving, but also exploration and character growth, where you actually decide how you want to grow your character. So I guess my favorite video game genre would be first person RPGs. So that would fall under stuff like, of course, the Elder Scrolls, but also Fallout and Borderlands and all those kind of games. So yeah. What is the earliest game you remember? I've probably told this story before, but when I was about maybe 2 or 3 years old, my brother was playing an Intellivision, and he was playing this game called Las Vegas Poker and Blackjack, which was a launch title for the system. And he got this really good hand. I was just like sitting there next to him. I was watching him play. I was like 2 or 3 years old. I couldn't even read at that point. And I was just kind of watching him play, not really knowing what was going on, but I was just seeing the cards flip around. I saw the dealer's face. So it was just kind of goofy stuff. There's just motion happening on screen. It kept my attention, whatever. And he got this really good hand, and he went off to show my mom. And he like ran off upstairs, and I like crawled over to the controller, and it was this interesting like 9-button controller that looked like a phone, and he had the overlay on there. I'll have the overlay. I'll put the overlay on screen so you can see what it looks like. And right over the 5 button was the dealer's face, and it's just this smiling face looking up at me. So I reached down and I pushed it, and that ended up trading away one of his cards that he hadn't marked to keep. And then he came back, and I knew I had done something. I knew I had done something wrong because I pressed the button and something happened on screen, but I didn't know what. So he came back and he started yelling at me. He's like, "God damn it, Doug!" He wasn't swearing, of course, but I was like, he doesn't know what he's doing. He's 2 years old. So yeah, I always tell that story that Las Vegas Poker and Blackjack was my very first experience playing games. But again, that may not even be true, because I remember other old Commodore 64 games or old NES games that I'd play at a friend's house, like the old, like, early Nintendo stuff, the early Nintendo things that just had names like Pinball or the Tetris or Bomberman I remember playing. But I don't know, it's all kind of nebulous, it's all kind of melding together, so I don't know if this was before or after. But I always like telling that story as my first one, because it's a relatable story, and it's just a nice story to have for what my first game would be. It may not be my first game, but that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Number 4, what game are you most looking forward to? If this was a couple of months ago, I would have said Super Smash Bros. 4, but I already own that, and I don't even own a Wii U yet. I have Smash Bros. and a Bowser amiibo, but I don't actually have a Wii U yet. I'm planning on getting one very soon. But I want to say Metroid U. There's talk of a new one. There's talk of announcing one at the next Nintendo, like the convention or conference or something. There's talk of more information about the next Metroid game. We have been waiting for the next chapter after Metroid Fusion longer than we've been waiting for the next chapter after Half-Life 2 Episode 2. A lot of people don't realize that. We've been waiting a very long time to hear the next chapter in the story. They keep going backwards. They keep making earlier games in the series. They keep making games that fit between 2 other games. I just really, really want to know where the next game is happening. There's talk of like Metroid Dread. I don't know if that's going to be the name, but I'm pretty sure Metroid Dread is Dread in the Water. it's just not going to happen. If there is going to happen, then they're going to integrate other ideas from it into other games, just like they did with Star Fox 2. But yeah, that was an easier question than I thought it would be. I'm looking forward to the next Metroid game. Number 5, least favorite video game character. I had to think about this one for a little while, but when I did realize it, it was a very obvious answer. I fucking hate Ganondorf. Ganondorf is such a stupid villain. And beyond just his lust for power, he has no motivation other than wanting to be evil and lusting for power, which is... I was actually looking at a picture not too long ago that listed Ganondorf as a shit tier. It literally used the word shit tier villain. He's just a villain who is just evil or lust for power. The character of Ganon, I always liked. I mean, I'm working on a Ganon Perler right now. I need to order some more black beads, but he's one of my favorite villains. But the character of Ganondorf just seems so pointless and superfluous. I mean, I'm not against the idea that he used to be human and he became this creature when he found the golden power. He was corrupted by it. But the idea that his name as a human is just like 4 letters off from his name as a evil guy, it's like he became evil and he just shortened his name. It's like that scene from South Park where Christopher Reeve becomes evil, and then he, instead of being known as Christopher, he becomes known as Chris. That's exactly what Ganondorf is. Instead of being known as Ganondorf, he's just Ganon. I don't understand the point behind that. And of course, he also sucks in Smash Brothers. They had plenty of chance to give him an awesome skill set. He has a sword that he never fucking uses. And instead they just made him a clone of Captain Falcon. I don't get it. They gave him like this Shadow Warlock powers. Who gives a shit? He's supposed to use a sword. He's supposed to be this big, towering behemoth, and he doesn't fucking do anything with it. He turns into Ganon as his final Smash. I don't know if he does that in Smash 4, but I've just never liked Ganondorf. He seems like a pointless villain. They have Ganon, which is fine. I like the idea of Ganon. I'd like them to kind of expand on him, because he's this guy, he lusted for power, and he was corrupted by it, which I understand. I can understand that as a motivation. They always try to build up Ganondorf as this great villain, when Ganon, the second form of him, is the true villain. They need to... I want them to expand on Ganon's history. He was this guy who was corrupted by power. He became this hideous monster, but the Dark World is his. The Dark World is his domain. This is his house. Then Link comes in there and tries to bust shit up. No, he's going to try to defend his own home. He's going to try to fend him off. It's not the fact that he wants power. He wants to keep power that he has, even though he's become this hideous creature. He doesn't give a shit now. That at least would push him up between like mid and high tier on this list I have. But yeah, fuck Ganondorf. He's just so stupid. And finally, what is your favorite video game character? Again, going back to the Nintendo stuff, I want to say, a lot of you probably expect me to say someone like Kirby, or do my bitching about Ganondorf, Link. But if you looked at my previous answers, you know the answer. You know this. It's gonna be Samus. I've always loved the Metroid series. 2 years ago, I finally managed to finish all the games in the series. They always have this great sense of exploration and action, but they also build up this great world of all this lore and backstory and characters for all this stuff. I really want them to expand on that in the games. I want them to expand on her history with the Chozo, and I'm not against giving her a backstory. I'm not against giving us more information about who she was, but when you have something like Other M that turns her into this sniveling, male-dependent, crippled, scared bunny rabbit of a thing. I don't even know what to call her. I don't know why Nintendo insists on over-sexualizing her and pushing the Zero Suit Samus thing. She was in her Zero Suit for exactly an hour in Metroid Zero Mission. It was a stealth action segment that I actually really liked, but they decided to just keep dwelling on that one minor thing and keep pushing, hey, Zero Suit Samus is sexy. Who gives a shit? Zero Suit she doesn't care how she looks. She wears this bulky armor that makes her a fucking tank. Back then, it was just sort of taken for granted, yeah, she happens to be female. Okay. And there were people who didn't even care. Just like, so they would just call it he. And in the original book that they used the male pronouns, but when you were playing, you just saw this like robot character and they just called it he. They people who didn't watch, but now it's just so obviously pushed that yes, Samus is female. Even Armored Samus kind of moves like a female now. You kind of look at how her movements are, and you still kind of notice that she moves very, very womanly, even when she's not in the Zero suit. And then, of course, giving her the fucking rocket boots that are like high heels, I will never fucking understand that. What the hell, Nintendo? I like her as a character because she does have so much mystery surrounding her, but you still understand her personality. She's very attentive to detail. She's very much a loner. She doesn't like taking orders, but she will understand when orders need to be taken. But the fact that in Other M she's under the control, I don't think it's the fact that she's under the control of a man, but it's a man that she has a history with, and it's basically the fact that she wants to impress him, when I don't think Samus should ever worry about that kind of thing. She wants to do what's right, not what will further her own ego or gain the acceptance of others. She has never cared about that kind of thing. I would love to see like things set before Metroid Zero mission, which I get was like her first mission with the Federation, but I would like to see something that it would be very hard to do since you'd be playing like a little girl, but I would love to see something set on the Chozo planet or set on the space colony where she grew up, where it's attacked by Ridley and she has to survive after that. It would be really difficult to do, but I would like maybe not necessarily a whole game set around that, but maybe at least a segment of a game where you see a closer look at that part of her personality. But yeah, my favorite video game character, Samus. So for tagging, I was tagged, so I guess I have to tag other people. So in decreasing order of likelihood of actually responding, I tagged my friend Red, who's a coder with Apples and Astronauts, which is the studio I'm working with, and he runs Digital Ground Zero. Surfing Cougar, who is a co-worker that we're working on a project together. I forget what his website is. Well, he wrote a tabletop RPG called Eon Legacy, and he's trying to push that. My friend Oi, who runs Pawpad Gaming, and he is currently working on a top 10 best and worst games of 2014 list as well. And in the off chance that he will actually respond, Tom White, aka He Is an Evil Genius. I've talked to him on Facebook a couple times, and hopefully he'll respond to this. So, everybody take care. I hope you enjoyed this insight into my life. Everybody, bye-bye.
Rosie. Drowsy.
Ladybug.
Drowsy.